showing you now.
Good evening, everyone. Let me welcome you to the Tuesday, December 6th meeting of the Bethany City Council. I'll call the meeting to order. Would you please stand for the invocation by Councilmember Harris and remain standing for the flag salute, please.
Dear Lord, we want to thank you for bringing us together tonight. We thank you for the reason of being together to serve our city and the people of our city. We thank you for those lives that were saved and those that are going to be honored tonight. And Lord, we want to take special time to remember our city manager tonight and ask that you touch him as he's in the hospital and provide healing to his body. This is serious and we're very concerned. And we know that you have it under control. We pray tonight for wisdom and your guidance as we make decisions for our city, and praise you for all that you have done to bring this Christmas season to our world. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Please face the flag. Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. As Councilmember Harris mentioned, unfortunately, the city manager became ill this afternoon and had to go to the hospital, so Steve Harsman's filling in tonight. Item 1 on the docket tonight is the consent docket. We have items A through E. Do we have a motion for those
Motion
items?
to approve, Mayor,
I'll second.
altogether.
Second.
I would like to review item B, please.
Okay, did you have a question on that, or?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead with your question.
I would suggest that we look at the wording and possibly have Merry Christmas Shop in Bethany, or as an alternate, just Shop in Bethany with the wreath or different wreaths on there, rather than have Merry Winter. I'll let you answer that. She's wondering if she can speak to that.
I can speak to it. My name's Marsha Feisel. I'm president of the Bethany Improvement Foundation, and we've offered to do banners that would be on all of the light poles throughout the city. We installed them a couple of years ago, and so we wanted to do this. And they will. The wording is it says, "Have a Merry Winter in Bethany," and then on the side it says "Shop in Bethany." And the reason we said Merry Winter is so that they could hang longer than just the Christmas season, and so that we wouldn't offend anybody whose religion might not be Christian, and that was the reason why we did that. The artwork is not done. None of it's done. This is just a rough draft so that you can see what it looked like, because I didn't see putting a bunch of time and effort and hours into creating it before it was approved. I thought that was not a good use of my time.
I think that's very good idea. And I understood why it said Merry Winter and those types of things. And that's why then I would suggest just Shop in Bethany and then have, a wreath or, separate, make it creative looking. But they'll catch the drift that it's, the season of shopping with the wreaths on there rather than Merry Winter. I think that would offend some people to have Merry Winter rather than Merry Christmas, and to maybe avert that, just have Shop in Bethany with the holiday wreaths on it.
So you're suggesting that we just put the word "Shop in Bethany" with a wreath?
Or Merry Christmas Shop in Bethany.
Okay. I'll let you guys decide what the wording should
Merry
be.
Christmas would limit it. I mean, you'd only have it up 2 weeks or so.
Right.
And if you're wanting it to last over the Christmas season, I think Have a Merry Winter just it gets your attention.
It certainly does.
Yeah, I like that.
Again, you'd have a lot more space on there so that people, as they're driving down the highway, I've recognized in the past that where we have these, you can't really read it because the wording is so small. So if you just said shop in Bethany, you could put that on there bigger. It would limit the wording even more, and you would have a bigger font to be able to read it as you're coming down the street and see it. And you could leave that up through, through after the holidays are all complete and even longer.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, so we'd have to get the motion maker and second's approval to change that.
I would ask if Randy, if you would amend your motion that either we table it to discuss it more outside of this
Sure,
voting.
and I'm all in favor of, well, I just want to say, I'm one of the bigger fans of Christmas, and the original part of Christmas is Christ. And I would love to see Christmas on there, but at the same time, this will be, I assume, left up longer than the Christmas holidays. And so, I think we probably do need to look at this a little differently. And so if we need to leave this one off or table this particular item B for more acceptable wording, that's fine with me.
Okay, I'll second that change then.
What about our original motion maker? Doesn't he need to,
Well, you were the original motion.
I mean, the original
Yeah, I don't know
seconder?
if she had down Knapp for a second or Larson.
Could we discuss it now, since Christmas will be over by the next time we meet?
Sure, I'm good with that.
It'd be New Year's.
Could I just verify who was the motion maker and who was the second?
Lundstrom was the motion maker, second was Larson.
Okay, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, if we wait till the next meeting, I don't think there'll be no time.
No time, I agree. I mean,
Well,
I agree that I'd love to see Christmas on there personally, but at the same time, have a merry season or something of that nature. So I think season is used a little too much.
I think so. I think
So
shop in
winter-
Bethany and with the Christmas wreaths arranged on there, you have somebody that's creative, they can make it look really nice, and shop in Bethany, and it looks like the holidays, and that way our heritage is reserved also.
One other thing, we've already got In God We Trust on our logo, so we've already offended anybody that's
Right,
offended.
we've
they can
offended
be
them already.
It's-
Yeah.
You have every right to be offended.
So
I'm in favor of
council
Merry
would-
Christmas.
Yeah, me too. But that limits their hang time, if you would. So council, would you like to see proposals brought back to us from from Ms. Faisal? Or,
It's gonna cut the time.
Well, one of the major, the reasons that we're doing this tonight is, somebody said it was necessary to get this done.
I agree.
because We have a very short period of time. We have to design it, we have to have it manufactured, or they have to have it manufactured. So, why not sit down and thrash it out right now?
Okay.
So that when the Bethany walks out of here, they'll know what they have to do. Well, I've got it going, guys. It's just, have your, okay, try that.
Okay, there's two items. If you limit the words on the banner, you can make them larger, and people can read them much easier and actually realize that they're making a statement. And I think with the wreaths on, or it doesn't even have to be wreaths, whatever they want to decorate it with, bows or candy canes or whatever, kind of like the front of the horseshoe up here, it will get the idea across.
If all we're going to do is put shop in Bethany, it doesn't make any difference what the wreath or candy cane is. I mean, it could be a summer thing. Yeah,
Sure.
But Shop in Bethany just says all the time, there's no point in,
I thought that was the
making
idea,
some-
was you wanted to go longer than
Well-
just the Christmas, so Shop in Bethany, I mean, that gathers,
I think
Yeah,
the idea
the
was
idea.
maybe to do them quarterly or something, wasn't it, Marcia? So if they're done quarterly, then it would have a different saying each time and would get people's attention. After a while, Shop in Bethany is just like all the other signs we have that we don't look at because they've been up there for so long.
well, I'm sure they can come up with other ideas. There's artistic
Mm-hmm.
people in your group that comes up with these that could change them up quarterly still.
At
I like
this point,
this,
we're
I
too
like
late.
this the way it is. I mean, the Bethany Improvement Foundation, they are sponsoring this, they are paying for this. I'm assuming there are probably a lot of downtown business owners. This is going to impact them. I mean, as long as we don't have any issues with, is it going to offend somebody or if it's gonna be a legal issue, and I don't see anything here, I mean, I think we need to leave it up to them the way they want it.
We are the council and the last say on each of the items that come before us.
Agreed.
And again, on just a common sense basis of having fewer words on it so you can see it, I mean, just on that aspect, I think it would improve the sign.
Well, I think the city ought to go into the business then of we putting up banners the way we want them then, if that's how we're gonna do it. But if we're letting these private entities do this, as long as we don't have legal issues, I'd propose to accept this as it is. And I would rather see this than nothing. You know, like
Do we
we've already
need-
mentioned, pushing this off for a whole nother year. I would rather see something up downtown than nothing at all.
Well, I was ready to vote for it tonight. Mr. Davis, do we need to pull this and vote on it separately from the,
Yes, I mean, especially if we've got controversy over it, and we could take care of the other consent docket items and pull that one separately. So Randy, if you would change your motion just to accept A, C, D, and E, then we can
I
pull.
just
the-
have one thing to say on C. We're creating a Parks, Recreation, and Tree Advisory Board, which is what the actual ordinance thing says, but it isn't how it reads on the consent docket. It's just the changing of the words.
Mayor-
it just doesn't have the word recreation is what she's referring to on the consent docket.
Okay, Mayor, after hearing several comments and taking them into consideration, I'd like to again make a motion that we utilize this particular banner as written, except for let it say, "Have a Merry Winter," and leave off the word "in," and then "Shop in Bethany" at the bottom. That would be my motion, please.
Okay, do we have a second for that?
I'll second that.
I'm sorry, Randy, could you explain that one more time?
Sure. My motion would be to accept the banner as written, "Have a Merry Winter," leave off the word "in," and at the bottom, "Shop in Bethany." Or
Shop Bethany or shop in?
Shop Bethany.
Shop Bethany. That makes more sense.
Just simply leave the word "in" off of it.
But Shop Bethany, just say Shop Bethany.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
I think Jeff did.
Did you second it? I'm
Second.
sorry. Okay, please post your votes. You got that, Susan? Item 2 is call to the public. If any member of the audience wishes to address the council, please step forward to the podium. First, state your name and address, and you will have 3 minutes to speak. Hearing or seeing none, I'll move on to item 3, which is a presentation of Employee Life Saving Awards. Chief?
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Thank you for this time to recognize some outstanding work by some of our police officers. I will read the citation. I'll ask them to come forward. If Officer Sean Cook, Officer Andrew Zamudio, Officer Matthew Branscombe, Officer Britton Oxley, and Officer Colong, if you'll come forward. Let's turn that one off. Let's go back to that one. That sounded, that's okay. On August the 1st, 2016, at 21:41 hours, our dispatch received a call of a subject inside a Bethany residence considering suicide. The subject involved had a history of mental illness. Upon their arrivals, Officers Cook, Zamudio, Branscombe, Oxley, and Long observed the subject through a window in the living room. When the officers knocked on the door, the subject stated that he would be right there. Through a window, the subject was observed walking into a bedroom. A few minutes later, the subject collapsed to the ground, falling backwards into the living room inside of the officers. At the direction of Officer Cook, Officer Long kicked in the front door, and all the officers entered the residence. The subject had attempted to take his own life by inflicting lacerations on both of his arms and both of his legs. The lacerations on his arms were rapid arterial bleeds, and he was losing blood at a heavy rate. Officer Zamudio and Officer Oxley worked together, placing tourniquets from their own personal emergency medical kits on both the subject's arms. Officer Cook, Officer Long, and Officer Branscombe worked together, containing the subject and applying pressure on the rapidly bleeding leg wounds. These officers were able to slow the bleeding from the subject's arms, thereby saving his life. IMSA arrived on scene and advised that if not for the officers' immediate actions in placing the tourniquets on the subject's arms, he would have died at the residence. The responding officers risked their own safety by exposing themselves to a suicidal subject as well as multiple bloodborne pathogens in order to save his life. Therefore, I am honored to present these officers the Bethany Police Department Life Saving Award. Officer Oxley. Zach, congratulations. Matt, congratulations, buddy. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council, for allowing us this time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Autographs can be signed after the meeting.
Chief, thank you so much for presenting that tonight, and officers, thank you guys for going above and beyond the call of duty in your actions that evening. Thank you. Item 4 is a public hearing item. It is approval of a special use request by Wayne Sadowski, applicant and property owner for the purpose of building a 500 square foot accessory building at 8014 Northwest 31st Terrace with conditions. Steve?
This has gone before the P&Z, and Steve is here if the council would like to hear the presentation, but he's also here to just answer questions. If y'all would just like to ask questions prior to the vote, it's up to the council what you would like to do.
I would like to just make a suggestion. There's two contingencies that planning and zoning had added. One was the pitch of the roof be changed. The second one was the 25-foot setbacks on either side. And then I would suggest that we go ahead and add that the color scheme be added into that so that it doesn't change. That was discussed, but it wasn't added into the requirements. And I talked to the Sadowskis, and they're okay with adding that. So it would be the cream and the green, that they would match the house to their new addition.
Were you wanting to make that a motion?
Yes.
Okay. Do we have a second on Ms. Holloway's motion?
Second.
Okay. Is there any questions or discussion? Please post your votes. Thank you. Item 5 is approval of ordinance number 1924, amending Title 12 of the Bethany Code of Ordinances by adding a new chapter 122.1 pertaining to mobile food service and food trucks. 5A is approval of ordinance number 1924 on reading by title only. Do we have such a motion?
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we table this until our city manager's back, and that those of us that have been looking further into it had the opportunity to discuss it as well.
Okay, so we have a motion to table. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right. Please post your votes on tabling. All right. That was easy. Item 6 is approval of resolution number 1424, establishing an Arts and Culture Advisory Board, establishing methods of appointment of members to the board, and providing for functions of the board. Steve, did you have a staff report on that?
A little bit. Actually, you may want to also table this one until JD gets back, but I would like to say that this was basically modeled on the Parks and Recreation and Trees Board as far as the election. We all know that the purpose behind this board is to try to get citizens involved and to get them involved in helping Bethany improve its arts and culture. I personally I got to visit my daughter and son-in-law in Owasso this weekend, and as we were driving down the road to one of their 1,000-acre shopping areas, I happened to look at the side of the road, and there was a little statue of two kids playing on a bench. And I just went, well, isn't that unique? How cute, how cool, how different. And I thought that's exactly what JD's trying to get. And it's just that kind of thing that we need to start getting citizens involved in with the city of Bethany. And again, if you're wanting to table it till he can get back here to sell it, I understand, but I think it's a fantastic idea. So that's what I have.
Go ahead.
I was just going to make a motion to approve.
I'll second the motion to
Okay,
approve.
that's what I was.
All right. So we have a motion and a second. Is there any other questions or
There
discussion?
is an error on here, but it's just the date. March should be 2016 under the implementation plan. Should be 2017.
Right, that was caught and it has been corrected. We
That's
still
in the
wanna-
narrative, not in the resolution
Right,
itself.
the resolution is right. We just didn't want to waste the paper printing up new copies of everything, so.
All right, so we have a motion and a second on the floor. If there's nothing further, please post your
Could you
vote.
read that motion?
Motion to approve,
Motion to approve.
as presented.
As
yes.
written.
Correct. Is that correct, Ms. Holloway? Okay. Please post your votes. Thank you. Item 7 is approval of a purchase of a vehicle for administrative travel in the amount of $18,690. Steve?
This is a budgeted item. We discussed it at budget time. This is the vehicle that we will use for getting stuff to the 4th of July to pick up supplies for the city. This is also the vehicle that we will use when we need to take an in-state travel for training. It was originally going to replace the Lexus, but we have since then determined that maybe the Lexus has a few more miles left in it and we need it. It is going to replace the Taurus that hasn't moved for a long time. So I would greatly ask you to approve this vehicle. Again, it is budgeted, it is on state contract, and that is an excellent price.
I move approval.
Do we have a second?
Second.
I had a question.
Go ahead.
Are we selling the other one, or are we gifting it, or what are we doing?
The one that we're getting
The
rid of?
Lexus, yeah.
No, the Lexus, we're going to hang on to for a little
Oh,
while.
so what are we
The
getting rid
Taurus.
of?
We're getting rid of the Taurus,
Oh, okay.
and
How are we getting rid of the Taurus?
I'm sure it will be auctioned as scrap,
Okay, it'll be auctioned
Yeah.
at a city.
if we can get it sold
If you can
as
get it up
scrap,
there,
it will
okay,
be
okay.
scrapped.
It's worth that much, huh?
Yeah, it's worth a lot.
Steve, I do have one question. It just came up in your commentary. You mentioned the in-state seminars or travel or whatever. Is this anything prohibit us from going out of state with this vehicle?
Well, no, not really.
Okay, that's all I needed. Thank you.
All right, we do have a motion and a second. Please post your votes. Thank you. Item 8 is the city attorney's report. David?
I just had one item yesterday. I discovered that there are some title issues with the property where the library is to be located. There are a couple of streets over there that have been closed, but they've not been vacated. That would interfere with the location of the library. I'll be reporting back to you further, probably at your next meeting on that, but it's likely going to require an action in district court to vacate the streets and easements over there. Actually, they were called 5th and 6th Street a long time ago. That's actually 33rd and 34th Street. So that's all I
Not the
have.
whole street, from just half of it, basically.
The west 400 and some odd feet, yeah.
Okay.
I think you might, if you don't mind letting the people know that those streets are no longer there.
That's correct.
So we're
they're on
not
paper.
changing the streets.
They're on paper, but
Right.
those streets currently
Do
dead
not
end at the
exist.
drainage pond.
Right,
We're making it legal,
yes. Thank you.
cleaning house.
All right, well, thank you, David. Item 9 is the city manager's report. Steve?
First of all, I'd like JD to take his vitamins and get strong again and come back to work. We have some very strong forward momentum going within the city, within the employees, and we want to keep that going, and we will keep that going. And we all want him to come back strong as ever. So, and also I would like to remind the citizens that they need to remember to cover their faucets. Tonight will be cold, tomorrow night will be viciously cold, and they need to cover. Our guys work too hard as it is. They don't need to be coming around having to take care of everybody's mistakes. That's all I have, sir.
All right, thank you. Item 10 is council members' announcements, comments, and proposals. Councilmember Harris, I'll start with you tonight.
Just that I've received so many compliments on the Christmas decorations. It seems like every day somebody stops me and thanks the city for those. So pass that along to all of those that were involved in buying them and installing them, and it looks really good. And you know that I've complained about the old ones a lot, so that's saying a lot, but I'm really happy with them. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Holloway?
Thank you, Mayor. I just would like to say thank you again to our police officers for their dedication to the citizens of Bethany. The city is really blessed by our staff, our police, our fire, our public works departments. I just can't say enough, and I do wish their families safety and a Merry Christmas in this holiday season. And again, just thank you for putting their lives at stake for us.
Thank you. Councilmember Moore?
Thank you. I just want to ask everybody to pray for JD, and also for Greg Shirey. He's getting out of the hospital hopefully this week. And just ask everybody to check on your neighbors, because it is going to be vicious, like you said, tomorrow night, and do whatever it takes to protect the pipes. The other thing I wasn't going to talk about, but I'm going to anyways, and it's not too happy of a subject, is we have an election coming up, and I believe the filing is Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And I encourage everyone, if you want to gripe, you gotta try. So if you want to try, go down there and file for the positions that are open. It would be easy of me to say nothing about this upcoming election. I'm not running for office. I'm not going to be involved in this election. But we have a new low established in Bethany. So you have to make sure that if you want to sit up here, that there is nothing in your personal life off limits. And I mean nothing. Your children are not off limits. Your mother is not off limits. If you run for office, you have to be prepared for your children to look at you and say, why is there a strange man with a gun following me? You have to be ready for that. You have to be ready for your mother to say, why is there a strange man with a gun following me? And I'm not happy about it. And I don't want anybody to go through that. But if you're serious about wanting to sit up here, everything you've done and your children have done and your parents have done and your family has done will be examined. And as we've been told now, there are no secrets in Bethany. The citizens have lots of information. And the big boys are in this one, as Mr. Shirey says. And you better have thick skin, because it's going to make the national election look like a poker game. Because there's a lot of things out there. And I encourage anyone who is not ready for that to not run. And I don't care what it's about, whether it's issues in the courts involving all kinds of things. But there will be nothing off limits, because I know some of the people that are going to be involved in that election. And it is going to be, there's no floor. We have a new bottom to politics in Bethany. The good old boy, put your name on the ballot, let's be nice and see who wins. Those days are gone. If you've had, I'm not going to go into it. People know what I'm talking about. But unless you're prepared for everything you've ever done to be completely put on somebody's doorstep, including your Social Security number and birthday, which happened to me. But unless you're prepared for that, don't jump in, because it's deep, deep water. And do not be surprised at what comes out. It's just, I want to see people avoid being shocked at things that they never dreamed would happen in Bethany, because I am. So jump in. The water's warm. Right, Randy?
Sounds like the water's hot. That is true. Filing is tomorrow, starting the 7th, 8th, and 9th, the remainder of this week at the County Election Board. And so jump in and make your voice heard and perform your civic duties. Ms. Holloway, that was fantastic discussion about the times that we have here in Bethany, our people that serve our city. I was just looking at those guys standing out there and thinking, if I were the one on the floor, I'd be very proud to have those gentlemen and ladies, in some cases, standing there trying to save my life. It's amazing what our employees do on a day-to-day basis, and it makes me very thankful to be a part of this amazing community. So I couldn't have said that better myself. Thank you. That's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Larson?
I think, first of all, I'd like to give a library update. We have been meeting more frequently of recent weeks so that we could wrap up the DD, the design documents, so that we could move on to the construction documents. And by Friday, we should have all that information to the architect that we'll be able to close that up and move to the next phase. We're on schedule within a few days, and so I'm excited that we're able to live up to that calendar that has been set forth for us. I want to congratulate the officers for truly putting their life on the line and taking care of one of our citizens in a very professional manner. Acknowledgement in what they received tonight seems a little bit not enough for what they do every day. All of our officers putting their lives on the line. Words just aren't enough. I also want to thank all of our staff. This last week, we worked with the Northwest Chamber in hosting a local government day for their leadership class graduates in 2017. The last few years, the city has facilitated that day in partnership with War Acres, and the students will tour the cities and their facilities. And for the last 3 or 4 years, we've had the opportunity to tour the water plant. And this has been a really big hit for all of these classes. When we first started doing that, I really was kind of shocked. We have a pretty neat water plant, I have to say that. And it's a true education to understand what goes on with the water treatment in our city. It's quite phenomenal. But I want to thank staff for all those that were involved in that, for taking time out of their busy day. And our city manager is in that class, along with the vice mayor of War Acres. So this year was a little challenging for those of us that were facilitating that, because we felt a little bit on the button. But it was fun. And the the reviews were well. I frequently, and I don't ever want to sound like a broken record, but the holiday seasons around Thanksgiving and Christmas are always really challenging for a lot of us, or our friends or family members, ones that have been very ill with cancer or serious illness, or through death of a loved one. In our neighborhood, over the last 3 weeks, we have lost 3 members. Judy Dixon, who was the children's minister at the First Nazarene Church in Bethany, left us and met her maker this last week. She had battled her cancer for over 10 years. Vivacious lady, precious lady. We're going to miss her, but we rejoice in where she is now. Dean Wilmoth, we lost him this last week. And Mr. Denham, who's been in Bethany for many, many years as well. There's been others within our city, and I ask that not only do you pray for these that have left us, but that you reach out to them and call them, invite them to coffee or lunch or dinner, invite them to your home. Just let them know that somebody's thinking about them, because it gets really lonely for them. I think that's all I have tonight. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Herron?
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to say I'm extremely proud of our police department. It's great joy, brings me great joy just to see how these guys put their lives on line each and every day for us, for the citizens. And that's partly what makes Bethany so great, is our police, our fire department. Public Works does a great job also, so extremely proud of our police officers. That's all I have tonight.
Thank you. Councilmember Shirey?
Yes. I must admit that our police department did a very fine job. There was more than just walking in there and putting a tourniquet on somebody's arm that was bleeding. They could have had, they still stand a chance of having serious problems. And I hope that our city takes care of those people and makes sure that they have what they need to survive this. I want JD to get well and get up and get back here, because we have a lot of baggage for him to carry for the next several years. And I can't necessarily agree with the depiction that my friend Mr. Curtis down there put out about the election. We've had one of the dirtiest, nastiest elections nationally that I have ever seen, and I have been around for a few of them.
In my lifetime, this Bethany's election will make it worse.
Yes, Mr. Moore, it is, but if you so desire to serve and you think you can do a better job, you should get into it. Because you do not know what you can contribute till you actually get into the process. Now we could have what they call Jack the Ripper file, and he could have he wouldn't get I don't think he'd get as much as as good a reviews as the last two presidential candidates got, and they were very negative. The nation was very negative to them, but they did survive. And I wish them all the best in the world because they are serving the people of the United States. So if you feel absolutely compelled to run for an office, I think you should get out there, and you should be able to explain the circumstances that people are trying to pin on you, because there's a lot of these circumstances that during the national election that were just kind of like putting flack up and not really expecting to hit anything. They were just trying to make noise. And maybe this is what some people might be thinking about in this. If you can stand the heat, get in the kitchen. If you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Knapp.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First, I'd just like to tell JD to get well, just like everybody else has done. I'd also like to thank our officers that received the awards tonight, not just for what they were awarded for, but just for their daily service and protecting our people here in Bethany. I'd also like to echo Councilmember Larson's comments about Leadership Northwest. I was on the planning committee for that, and it's a pretty wide-ranging set of events or set of meetings where they get to see a lot of the things that are going on around us. And so thank you for facilitating that. Lastly, the advisory boards. We approved 2 advisory boards tonight, and I just visited with JD just yesterday, just about a couple of things. I hope I didn't push him over the edge to make him ill. I don't think I had anything very, very, very serious to talk about there, but what I told him was this is the kind of community building, these advisory boards, getting people involved in our community that really make a difference. So hopefully that's a long-term difference and not just a short-term thing. But that's all that I have. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Well, obviously, I too want to echo the thoughts and prayers for J.D. Cox and his wife Tanya. And J.D., we wish you a speedy recovery, and look forward to seeing your smiling face back here around City Hall. I want to thank the downtown merchants for their tree lighting that they did a couple of weeks back. That's when we got to light up the new display on 39th Street, Route 66 here through Bethany. And I've had a lot of comments as well on people really happy with the new decorations, and some from people that don't even live in Bethany but travel 39th every day that I've talked to that are really impressed with our new display there. So thanks to them, the Downtown Merchants Association, for hosting a wonderful evening and having a lot of fun things going on downtown. I thought it interesting, back in August, I had stopped by our fire department and was having a conversation with a couple of the firefighters, and Officer Zamudio stopped by and we got to talking, and I was asking him about this odd thing that he had kind of, it was on his leg, it was strapped around his leg. It almost looked like a drop holster, but there was no firearm in it. It was just a weird kit on his leg, and I asked him what that was, and he was telling me that it's something that often is used in combat, that military people will wear in case they're shot in combat. It has a quick clotting kit, it has a tourniquet, it has several things in it that could be life safety things when you're talking seconds before maybe you bleed out. And so he had started carrying it because of the threat, obviously, that police officers were having. There had been several shot recently as close as Dallas, and so just something he was being proactive and forward-thinking. He had bought it himself and carried it every day on duty. And so we finished our conversation. I actually left the fire department, and a couple hours later I got a text from one of the firefighters, and he said, thank God that Andrew Zamudio had that kit on him. It was that evening that they were dispatched to the call that you saw the Life Safety Awards given tonight for. And had he not had that kit on, that gentleman would have almost definitely lost his life. Something that he had designed for himself to carry, but was more than willing to give up when a citizen in need arose. So it's crazy how things like that can, you plan it for one thing, but yet you use it for another and end up saving a life that fortunately wasn't his own. But we do have a great police department, well-trained people, and I want to thank them again for the work they do above and beyond the call of duty. Police officers don't typically have to do that type of life-saving. You think of that more for somebody in the fire department or an ambulance service, but they were more than willing to step up when the time needed. So thanks again to those guys, and thank you, Chief, for recognizing them publicly. That's all I have. Is there any new business to come before the Bethany City Council? Hearing none, if there's no objection, we will adjourn until December 20th, 2016. Without objection, I declare us adjourned. I'll now open the Bethany Public Works Authority. We have the consent docket items 1A and B. Do we have a motion for approval on those items?
Motion to approve, please.
Second.
Please post your votes. Thank you. Item 2 is receive and open bids for water treatment plant quicklime.
First bid is from L. Hoist, North America. Finally found their bid. It is $196.45 per ton, with a truck delivery charge of $75.60. The total bid for 450 tons is $122,455.
This next one's from Univar USA.
Who did you say it was?
Univar USA, UNIVAR.
Okay, this bid from Univar, their price per ton is $327 per ton delivered, and their total bid for 450 tons is $147,150. And this bid is from Mississippi Lime Company. Their bid is $188.01 per ton, $71.99 truck delivery charge, total for 450 tons, $117,000. Those are all the bids that were received.
Do we have a motion to recommend that to staff, or to send that to staff for recommendation back to us?
Motion to send back to staff.
Second.
Please post your votes. Item 3 is new business. Is there any new business to come before the Bethany Public Works Authority? Hearing none, if there's no objection, we will adjourn until December 20th, 2016. Without objection, we are adjourned. I'll now open the Bethany Hospital Trust. We have the consent docket items 1A and B. Do we have a motion for approval on those items?
Motion to approve, please.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Please post your votes. Thank you. Is there any new business to come before the Bethany Hospital Trust? Hearing none, if there is no objection, I'll declare us adjourned until December 20th, 2016. Without objection, we are adjourned. I'll now open the Bethany Development Authority. There will be consent docket items 1A and B. Do we have a motion for approval on those items?
Motion to approve, please.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Please post your votes. Thank you. Is there any new business to come before the Bethany Development Authority? Hearing none, if there's no objection, I'll declare us adjourned until December 20th, 2016. Without objection, we are adjourned, and that concludes tonight's business.